Mr. Moe Bandy. Mo, can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Oh, we can hear you a lot better, too. It's once again a great honor to have you here on the program.
Well, it's good to be here. It's good talking with you.
Oh, thank you. Now, I guess maybe we'll start way back at the beginning, if we could.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you were born in Meriden, Mississippi, correct?
Meridian, Mississippi, yes. I was born there and lived there until I was about 6 years old, and then we moved to San Antonio, Texas.
Now, Meridian is the birthplace of Jimmie Rodgers.
Right.
And wasn't it that your grandfather actually worked with Jimmie Rodgers on the railroad?
Right. My grandfather was a railroad man, and he worked with Jimmie Rodgers, and I heard stories of when I was a kid about Jimmie Rodgers, and we had his music around and listened to it, and I was very young, but I'm sure that inspired me a lot, that music.
Well, sure, I guess it's no surprise that you fell in love with country music through Jimmie Rodgers, with your grandfather knowing him and everything. Just probably a huge influence.
It was something that I love traditional country music, and I love the tradition of the music. And so it was just a natural for me, and then it was kind of strange that my grandfather worked on the railroad with Jimmie Rodgers, and also Jimmie Rodgers moved to close to San Antonio, Texas, before he passed away, and so that was kind of unusual.
Yeah, so who were some of your other early musical influences?
Well, I always loved Hank Williams. I just loved Hank Williams Sr. and Ernest Tubb, and then later on, people like Merle Haggard and George Jones, and luckily I got to work with my heroes in some of them, George Jones, Merle Haggard, and Marty Robbins, all these great singers that I came into the business kind of after they had been already established, and so I had the opportunity of knowing these folks and working with them, and what a thrill that's been.
I bet, and so I guess how old were you when you first learned how to play the guitar?
Well, I was about 6 years old. My dad played guitar and sang. My mother played piano and sang. And I was about 6 years old, and I learned to play guitar a little bit, and I learned to play a few chords on a banjo. And I used to sing with my dad, and we'd play. And that's kind of where I got started. And played the fiddle a little bit back then.
And so I guess how old were you when you gave your first public performance?
I was grown up. Well, not grown up, really. I was about 16 or 17, but when I played professionally. But my mother used to enter me in every contest that came along, talent contest, and of course she said I won every one of them, but I don't know.
No, I bet.
About that.
But it was around that time that I guess you were a rodeo rider, too, weren't you?
I rode bulls and bareback broncs, and my dad did that. He was originally from San Antonio, Texas, and my dad rodeoed my grandfather, and it was just something that we were raised doing. And so I kind of strayed off into that and got out of the music for a while, and then after I got beat up real good, I decided to go play music.
So for how many years did you sing in the nightclubs before you made your first recording? I guess it was on Satin Records, wasn't it?
Yeah. I was a 10-year overnight success before I got a hit record. I played all over. Actually, when I started playing and put a band together and played for money, it took me about 10 years to get a record. And so I always said I was a 10-year overnight success.
Now, in 1972, you met the man who'd become your record producer, Ray Baker. And so how did you and Ray first meet?
Well, Ray was originally from San Antonio, where I lived, and he came there on a hunting trip. And somebody had told me that this producer from Nashville was in, and at that point, I was just doing anything I could to try to get in the business. And so I went to his room in his hotel and knocked on the door and said, "My name's Moe Bandy, and I want to cut some records." And so Ray come out and heard me. I I was playing in a local place, come out and heard me, and we got together, and it just went from there.
And so Ray listened to you perform and listened to some demo tapes of yours, too, I guess, that you had with you, wasn't that?
Yes, he did.
Correct.
Sure did.
And he agreed to record you, but there was a catch, wasn't there? You had to pay for your own.
Right. I had to pay for these sessions that I was doing back then, and I just run out of money. I didn't have any money. I was poor to begin with, and I only had to hawk my furniture and everything else to do it. And luckily, the last time I recorded, I got a hit record, and I just had totally run out of money and didn't know what I was going to do. And I recorded a song called "I Just Started Hating Cheating Songs Today," and it took off. And then we signed with GRC Records, and I had several top 10 songs. And then in 1975, I recorded "Bandy the Rodeo Clown," and it was, of course, a big record for me. And we left GRC and signed with Columbia Records. And I was with Columbia for quite a few years after that.
And how come you decided to switch to Columbia, a larger distribution market?
Well, GRC was a smaller label, and I had records that were really going strong, and so we decided we had an offer from Columbia, and we took it, which was really a thrill to be on Columbia Records. That was the ultimate back then.
So you signed with one of the great record companies of all time, and what was the first song you released? It was a hit, wasn't it not?
It was a hit record. It was called Hank Williams, You Wrote My Life. And then we followed up with a whole string of them after that, and I was very lucky to have gotten the right songs right at the right time.
Yeah, you went on to have many more hits. Here I Am, Drunk Again, She Took More Than Her Share, That's What Makes the Jukebox Play, and the list goes on and on. You were awarded the most promising male vocalist by the Academy of Country Music. I think it was that same year, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. In 1976, I was, and at that point, it was just really, everything was, we cut, seemed like, went at least top 10, and we just got on a really good roll there for a while.
And so how did it feel to finally be at the top of the country music world?
Well, it was a great feeling. It was one of the greatest things, and I tell everybody nowadays, if you have a hit record, enjoy every minute of it, and don't do anything that would mess that up. And that's the way I did. Luckily, I enjoyed every bit of it. I had about a 10-year run with Columbia Records, and then Joe and I hooked up and found a song called "Good Old Boys," Joe Stampley and myself, and his piano player wrote that. We recorded those songs, and so we were actually recording with Joe. I was recording with Joe and also putting out single albums at the same time. So was Joe. And
you and Joe Stampley, you won both the Country Music Association's Duet of the Year award and the Academy of Country Music's Duo of the Year awards. That's
right, we did, and
quite great accomplishment.
It was a thrill, yeah.
And you also had quite a very wasn't a #1 record with actually another with a lady I had to hear on the program a while back, Miss Janie Fricke. Mm-hmm. And that was "It's a Cheatin' Situation."
Cheatin' Situation, that was Song of the Year in 1979, and Janie was nice enough to come in and sing with me, and I was really honored that she did that, and that was a big record for me.
Yeah, she's a really nice lady, a great singer too.
Very nice lady, yes.
And so how did you and Janie come to record together?
Well, we recorded Cheatin' Situation. We felt like we needed a female vocal on there. We tried several ladies, and it just wasn't quite what we wanted. And Janie was nice enough to come in, and she just did it right off. I mean, it was exactly what we were looking for.